In this video, I'm going to show you how to take your pop-ups that you designed and configure it properly onto Klaviyo. I'm also going to show you how to connect it to the right list, and better yet, make your pop-ups actually support on-site conversions instead of just sitting there collecting emails. I'm Isan Sari with Second Wave Inbox, and we focus solely on retention via email and SMS for e-commerce brands. And this is the exact foundation that I'd use to make your pop-up look better, convert better, and nurture all of the traffic that you bring in through your website in the best way possible. So before I show you how to build it, it is important to optimize for desktop and mobile so that the designs that we create, like this one, can function and look exactly how we make it on Klaviyo. The reason I wanted to show you this first is because most people are starting with a very generic looking pop-up. And what we're doing here is taking something that feels boring and off theme and shits on your conversions into something that is low friction and optimized for generating first-time buyers. Let's get started on the design structure inside Figma. I already have the design pre-made for you because the point of this video is not to teach you how to design on Figma from scratch. It's to show you how to take a design system like this one and actually get it into Klaviyo cleanly. For this form, I'm keeping it simple, main visual at the top, supporting visual at the bottoms, and obvious clear call to actions. I'm also building desktop and mobile separately. That part really matters because mobile should be taken care of because of the spacing, the sizing, and the overall feel. It's completely different on desktop. Your pop-ups have one job. In this case, it's getting the email, then moving the person to the success step where they have nothing coming in the way of purchasing on your website. Once the design is laid out, you need to export the pieces you're going to use inside Klaviyo. So you have to slice out the top section and the bottom section separately so you could rebuild the pop-up inside the builder instead of just dropping in one image and hoping it all works out, because you can't do that. I'm also exporting these in 2 times so the assets that we do export don't look blurry once they're uploaded. Exporting these images will give me full control over the spacing, the input field, and the button, the background inside Klaviyo. Now, inside Klaviyo, I'm creating the form from scratch, not using any of these shitty templates that Klaviyo defaults to. You're going to name the form, so in this case, I'll name it whatever, and then you're going to connect it to the email list I want subscribers to go into. That list is important because this form needs to hand people off into the welcome flow. So right from the start, we know it's going to go to the right destination. Once I'm inside the builder, it's important to realize that since we're optimizing for desktop in this example, we must create separate forms. So you go to targeting and behavior and make it visible only to desktop or mobile. In this case, it's desktop. Make sure clicking outside the pop-up doesn't close it because it'll cause conversion. The first thing I do is going to be removing all the junk. Since it's only the opt-in and the success step, we don't need the survey, and for simplicity's sake, the teaser either. We also don't need all of this default text and default layouts, the extra blocks, or anything else getting in the way. I just want the structure I actually need. The only thing that we're going to keep is these buttons. So make sure you know that. We would also need to get rid of the background as well. So we would just need to go to styles and then we would select the background and change the transparency all the way to 0. After this, it's pretty simple. You're just going to go to add blocks and then you're going to add a image over the buttons and then you're going to add an image below the buttons. You just have to drag and drop them in. So once you do have these images, select on the image and then you're going to select one from the exported ones that you already have. So you're going to get the top and upload that file, select, and then you're going to get the bottom and upload the bottom file and hit select. Just upload those files. So you're going to be noticing that this is not a pop-up. It's way too small. So keep in mind the dimensions of the pop-up. Width is 1366. So just change the width of the image to 1366 and now it kind of fits properly. You're going to do the same thing for the bottom and there you go. As you can see, there's some lining that we call padding kind of intruding the background. We're going to want this pop-up to fit exactly where we want it. So you're just going to go to the block padding and you're going to set both of them to 0, the horizontal padding and the vertical padding. Do it for both of the sides. So top and the bottom side. So now we want to make the buttons look exactly how it looks like in our design pop-up. And as you can see, it is coming together. What you're going to do is select the button, the email input, and you're going to change the vertical padding to 0 because we want it touching directly at the top. For the claim discount button, you're just going to have a little bit of space between the email input and that button. So you're just going to make the vertical padding maybe 10 or whatever you think you see fit that kind of looks exactly like the pop-up that you already made. Then are going to change the background color of these. So you just have to do block background color, and you could just do the color picker and select the color that's on the pop-ups that you already exported. So as you can see, it kind of is coming together. But not quite, right? We have different colors in terms of the button, and the size of the buttons are different as well. So the way to change that, we would just need to select the button. You would go all the way down to input field styles and press the styles menu. And as you can see, we have the input field text styles and the input field styles. So what you need to do here is pretty simple. The placeholder is the color of the actual text. So for our case, the color of the text was white, but now as you can see, it kind of disappears. So to fix that, you would just need to go to your designing tool and see the opacity that you have it set at. So it's 31 in this case. And for the border color, it was also a white border. So we would just change the border color to white. As you can see, it kind of looks good now. So the main thing here is that we kind of have to change the padding of the block. In our case, it kind of fits directly below the text. So it cuts off there. So we're just gonna change it to whatever you could eyeball. In our case, it looks like a 125 pixel padding there. And you would reciprocate it for the bottom button. Now the placeholder text was different. Change the placeholder text to enter email address. Boom. Now that kind of just looks exactly how it was on our designing tool. So for the bottom button, we're gonna have to change the text of that as well. So it's unlock offer. We also would want to change the color to whatever color it was in Figma. So you would just copy paste it from Figma, which I already did right there, and paste it into the hex. We're going to shift our focus to the top right where the X button is. It's going to go and change the block margin of that X. We're going to make it a little tinier because we really don't want people to do that action, right? Change the opacity a little and maybe even the thickness. And I'm just going to change the color to white. Now it's the actions of the buttons. What we're going to do is click on the button, and the action of the first step should be to submit the form, but after the submit, it should show the next step, which is going to be the success. And now we can move on to the targeting and behavior. You show form based on the rules, and for the time delay, it depends on your brand, but I would say the sweet spot is 6 to 8 seconds. So in this case, you could put 6, 7, or 8. It's up to you whether you want a visitor to scroll a certain amount for the pop-up to show up. I would recommend having it off. So for the targeting, this is very important. You don't want to show it to existing Klaviyo profiles because you already have their email. You also don't want to show this pop-up on certain URLs. And I'll tell you why. We're going to do /cart and we're going to do /checkout. The reason is because they're further down into the funnel and they would probably be more prompted to buying. So you don't want to get into the way of that. It's up to you if you want to add another URL for a product page, whether that is your preference or not, but it really doesn't matter. But I recommend these two. It's very important. So for the success page, it's pretty much the same steps. You remove all the junk and then you only keep the one button in this case. Do have a coupon code here, and it's up to you whether you want people to copy paste the code. I'll show you how to configure it if you want people to copy paste the code, but it's pretty simple. Before we get into that, it's important to make sure that the button does this action. Make sure it goes to the URL. It's going to be the discount code auto applied at checkout. So there's two possibilities on the URL. You could do mysite.com slash question mark discount equals coupon name, or you could do the simpler one. It doesn't really matter. It's just preference. You do just your site.com slash discount slash coupon name. So in order to actually put the coupon that's copy pastable on your pop-up, just crop that extra part out if you have it, and you're just gonna have something like this. All you have to do next is take the image and drag and drop it between the use code and the top picture. You would then need to select static coupon, which is gonna be the same for everybody, and then just paste your coupon. In this case, it's brand 47. You can change the size of the font as you wish, but as you can see, it's kind of too long for your like. Background is also off-putting, so you're gonna have to change those things. So the opacity of the discount was at 47, so we're just gonna change it to 47. And then change the block padding to something that kind of just matches with the button. So it's kind of coming together. And as you know, you just have to change the background color to whatever the pop-up is. And there you have it. You have your success page and your email opt-in page. And of course, I'm not leaving mobile as an afterthought. I always want a separate mobile-friendly version because what works visually on desktop doesn't always translate cleanly to a smaller screen on your phone. So the logic just stays the same. The flow stays the same. The list handoff stays the same, but the sizing, the spacing, and the general readability needs to be optimized for mobile. Same strategy, just a different layout. So you would need to splice it the same way and import it. And as you can see, this is a finished pop-up right here. And here is all the settings that you need. You could also use the same thing with the static coupon. And make sure it goes to the URL and auto applies the checkout the same way. You also just want to make it mobile only. Same way we made desktop, we're making a mobile version right now. And make sure the form is not clickable on the outside. So I hope you found this video useful. That's pretty much the whole foundation of how to take your pop-ups and put them onto Klaviyo in a clean way. The goal was to reduce friction by putting the code in the success step, which is very important, and not using the pop-ups as something that just collects emails. Because I'd rather have 5 email subscribers and 2 customers than 10 email subscribers and 1 customer. In the next video, I'm gonna show you how this list connects to a welcome flow on Klaviyo and all the rules that are necessary for you to convert through the welcome flow.